Hello y'all, I'm back again for another video, and this video is going to be about the Ohio dad that just unalived or murdered his biological three sons. Now, I just recently uploaded a video about psychopathic daughters and their moms, their empathetic moms, and the danger in that. And I mentioned in that video that I would do a video about the Ohio dad. And of course, in the real sense of the word, he ain't nobody's daddy. I mean, this is obviously a biological dad. And I just wanted to give my perspective and share just some bits and pieces of information that I think is relevant to my video that I'm going to be doing about this. So I would first like to say that it's very saddening that the boys, 3 boys, had to be subjected to that type of horror. However, let's go. Let's get into this video so that I can explain some of my viewpoints, and you can leave a comment if you like, okay? So, getting into this video, as I pointed out in the other video, in the United States, it really doesn't matter, white, black, they murdering kids, okay? They murdering men and women. I mean, it's not a racial thing no more. It's not, well, he did that because he's a white man, or he did that because he's a black man, because we just had a black dad that threw his son in the lake or river or ocean or wherever he threw his son with the alligators, and the alligators ate his son up. So we can no longer assume or say it's a racial thing, like it's just relating to one particular race. So I want to just say that, because as a disclaimer here, I don't really care about the race. I just care about what happened, and I feel very bad for what happened to those 3 little boys, because I have sons, and I couldn't imagine just waking up one day and just shooting my sons down in the front yard. And one of his boys almost got away. He ran, and he hunted that one down and ran after him and brought him back to the front yard and shot him down. As if to say, ain't no favoritism here now. I done killed your brothers. You got to die too. You know, so it just shows the heartlessness in this biological dad situation. I mean, he's their dad. The boys resemble him. I haven't seen the mom, but it's pretty much clear that those look like they his kids, y'all. So, and he was married. I mean, I think he's 34 years old. I think the mom's 32. And she had a 16-year-old daughter that was not his daughter. That was the stepdaughter. And he didn't kill her. She ran off to get some help for her family. So I'm not sure if she primarily didn't get killed because she got a chance to run and go get some help. She went and told a neighbor, I think, that he's killing my whole family. And I think the lady asked her to get in the car, but she refused to get in the car because she said she didn't want to leave her family. I think that was the stepdaughter that did that. So these boys were approximately 7, 5, and 3 years old, or they were 7, 4, and 3 years old. And I waited to do this video because I wanted to see some evidence of some neighbors saying what the life was like on everyday living, or about everyday living as far as this family. It did not seem like that it was a neighborhood that had a lot of diversity in it. I pretty much just saw predominantly what the United States would call white people, or what I call European Americans. So they were pretty much speaking about what happened, what they witnessed, and things like that. But this is my perspective. I'm going to come at this from a little different angle because there's a lot of talk about the boys that got murdered, unfortunately, very cute, adorable boys. And there's a lot of talk about the dad. I think his name is Chad. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the boys' names are something like Chase, Chance, and Hunter. I apologize if I'm getting the names wrong. I didn't go back into the video, so I apologize. If I got the names wrong, I will go and watch the videos and correct that and put their correct names in the description, along with apologizing, because I don't want to disrespect these boys in any kind of a way. And I believe that kids do enter heaven. Now, watching the videos, when I realized on one of the videos that it was blacked out in the area of the yard, I cried. That's when I teared up. It was like, it became very real what this man had did. But through the videos that I watched, and I'm going to create a playlist on the Ohio tragedy. I'm going to call it something to that effect. Ohio tragedy for the boys or something like that. And I'm going to put all the videos I watched in the playlist. And you got to watch more than one video, because this video may show this thing, that this happened, and other videos may show a different angle. You may get a closer up shot. Like one video shows a closer up shot in video footage of the actual arrest, versus in another video, it's further off. So you're looking at the arrest of the dad from a distance. So, okay, the angle I'm going to go on is this. I heard the mom saying she lost her life, or he took my life. Okay, and that's a reasonable thing to say. I mean, her husband and her children's father has killed 3 of her young children. I mean, her 16-year-old is just about an adult, okay? She's still a child too. She's a teenage child, but she's still a child. And as far as I know, she just has these 4 children that were living in the house. I don't know if she has any other children. Her age is 34 years old, so she would have had her 16-year-old when she was about 18 years old. Now, of course, that girl lived. So this is my angle. Okay. She says she lost her life. She says he took my life, meaning, by murdering her sons, he took her life. Like I said, very reasonable statement to make considering what happened. And then she mentioned another statement saying they were so little. Now, in one video, I didn't hear that part, but in the other video, you can hear more of what she's saying. That's why it's important to watch more than one video. And she's right. They are so little. And this is why they should have been protected. Now, in time, as this mom grieves, she will understand her part in this. Because when there's a child murder, and as far as we know, the dad was living at home when this happened, there was a gun. The mom will understand in time how she played a role in this murder, even though she would never directly kill her sons. So, from the research I've done and the videos I've watched, she was a stay-at-home mom. So in one video, they said she was not the breadwinner. Chad was. So This is part of how she participated in this murder. She was a stay at home mom, which puts her in a position where she's not having as many options. Despite what y'all think about all of this rhetoric about single moms, we the stupidest women on earth because we don't have a man leading the home. We're not receiving the financial support from a husband and the kid's dad because he's not in the home. Whatever all this rhetoric is saying, at the end of the day, I ain't killed none of my sons. And I ain't had no man in here to kill any of my sons, not even their own father. Now, I was pretty educated in this way by police officers. Police officers educated me when my sons were very young as to the danger of domestic violence and how a man will kill not just you, but your kids. So, many, many years ago, I had a police officer talk to me about the danger that my sons and any other kids would be in, for that matter, when you keep an abuser around. So I'm very well rounded when it comes to domestic violence information. So I'm a little ahead of the game on that part. However, maybe this woman wasn't. Okay, we do the best we can do with what we know. So with the Ohio dad murdering his boys, one of the neighbors says that he was just mean. He was a mean man. He was mean to the kids and he was mean to his wife, which was his son's mother, and also his stepdaughter's mom. Because remember, don't forget about this 16-year-old girl because I'm going to be bringing her up later. So the neighbor said he knew what he was doing. He was just a mean man. Every day he was mean and hollering and abusing his wife and those boys and his kids. So, and the neighbor's right. I mean, he admits to planning it. He said he knew months and months ago that he was going to kill his children. Now, the mom tried to stop it and she ended up getting shot in the hand. So I commend her for trying to protect her sons. I mean, she was willing to give up her life for her boys. And like she said, he took her life. And when she says he took her life, I don't take that to mean she wasn't talking about her daughter. Her life includes her raising all of her children, even the daughter that she had before they got married. So obviously, this is a cold-blooded psychopath. So here are some of the red flags. Chad, the dad that did this to Hunter, Chance, and Chase, I think is their names. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I really apologize. Then he planned it, of course, but why did he do it? Okay, for one, he's not family oriented. Psychopaths are not family oriented. Family stuff is not fun. They pretend that it's fun. However, they don't even do a good job at that. I looked at some of the photos of the dad with his sons, and he don't look happy. He was not happy with that family. Two, a lot of times you got two type of psychopaths. You got the psychopath that's pumping you up with these babies because they want to use the kids to trap you and hold you down. But you also have those psychopaths that's repeatedly telling you that they don't want kids. They trying to use condoms, you taking them off. I wasn't in any of those type of situations. I was the one where they pumping you up with the kids to trap you. I was that girl. And I ended up having a lot of children. However, one of the red flags is when the psychopath don't want to give you no kids. I mean, a lot of times people can be married to a psychopath for many, many years and don't even realize, wow, I've never even slept with this guy without a condom. So that's a psychopath that's making it clear he don't want kids. But a lot of times empathic people, we try to figure a way around it because we so-called love them so much, and we give them something that they clearly showed us that they didn't want. So those are those type of situations. And those would be the situations where the psychopath is saying, I wish she hadn't got pregnant. I hope that baby died. A psychopath said this to me one time about somebody that he had got pregnant. He said he hoped the baby died. So this is just an example of the hatred that they have towards anything that is really closely connected to them that they should love. And I suspect some of this went on. I believe that in her case, it was clear signs that potentially, maybe, Chad expressed he didn't even want the kids. So this would be, if that had happened, I'm not sure which way it went. Or even, okay, say this. Okay, say he's pumping her up with the kids. He's the one that's pumping her up with the kids. He's showing that he don't want them when he's mean to her and the kids. So either way, by that neighbor gentleman saying how cruel and evil the father was to not just his own little boys and his wife and all of the kids, I think this may have even included the stepdaughter, but I think primarily this neighbor gentleman was talking about how he treated his own sons. Okay? So he's showing that he don't want the kids. So it's really irrelevant whether he really planned for them to be here or he didn't plan for them to be here and she just made it happen and they just made it happen because they were married. Now, she's the breadwinner, or no, he's the breadwinner. The dad's the breadwinner. So this is her responsibility in this, because did she stay and allow him to do that and be mean to her and the boys because she wanted an easier way out? She wanted to make sure the boys had a provider. See, because having your priorities in the wrong place can get people killed too. Not just your kids and others, but her priorities not being in the right place can get her killed too, especially kids, because they're the most vulnerable. Like I said in the beginning, in time, she will begin to see her responsibility in this. And she will, in time, begin to understand that he pulled the trigger. But let's go over this. Did she make any attempts to take that gun from her crazy husband? Because at this point, she know the husband's crazy. So some of the red flags were, for one, he had assaulted his father, Chad, the killer, the biological dad that murdered his 3 sons. He had already had policing history from assaulting. I think he strangled, I think is what the video said. He choked his own father or in some kind of way assaulted him. I'm sorry if I'm saying the wrong thing he did, but he laid hands on his daddy. I don't care if he punched him in the eye, choked him, whatever he did. He assaulted and jumped on his own biological father. That's a red flag. It seems like there was not enough CPS involvement. The reason I'm saying that is if there was, CPS dropped the ball and didn't save the boys. Because at the end of the day, 7, 5, and 3 years old, or 7, 4, and 3 years old, they're not responsible for their own lives. The adults are. So it just seems like it wasn't enough being done to get those boys out of that situation. And at the end of the day, the best place for the mom should have been at a domestic violence shelter. And you got to have a certain mindset to be at a domestic violence shelter. Women that go to domestic violence shelters don't care about material things. They don't care about if the dad or husband is the breadwinner or the money maker or the provider. They will go to a domestic violence shelter, take their duffel bags, one per kid, take their family photos with them, and they leave it all. That's how you save kids' lives. Going into a shelter where it's a safe house and the abuser doesn't know where you're at. In the state that I'm in, we have them here. So that's the way that the kids need to be saved. Not staying around there trying to figure out how to make it work, continuing to let the crazy husband be mean to her and her kids. That's just not the way it's going to be. So, for one, he wasn't family oriented. And I was just telling someone when we were having a conversation, I said, my opinion is, you know how people love you, and you know if they really love you through how they treat your kids too. So he didn't love his wife. If he loved his wife, he wouldn't have murdered the kids. They were talking about having a divorce or getting a divorce. So it looks like he might have murdered the kids so he don't have to pay child support. But he's going to be in prison. I mean, Ohio, I guess, has the death penalty. So he can potentially be put to death for what he did, however long that takes. You know, it takes years and years to just sit somebody somewhere and inject them with something. I never, for the life of me, can figure out how long it really takes to just kill somebody. Because it didn't take him long to kill his sons. But then even if the state gives them the death penalty, it'll take them a bunch of years to murder this man or take his life. But this dad, biological dad, was able to just kill all three of his cute little boys within the blink of an eye. And it takes two. The mom may not have shot him down, but unfortunately it happened because at the end of the day, she did not find refuge and a safe place to go in time. She just didn't do it in time. Maybe it was her intentions to do it. So at the end of the day, those boys should have never been in that abusive house, especially since the neighbor is saying he was very cruel to the kids. So this is my perspective. I'm getting off of these boys because they're in heaven and they're in a better place. However, let's talk about the stepdaughter. This is the part I'm happy about. And you may think, well, you may not agree with my perspective, but I always try to find the piece that really matters the most. She's the stepdaughter. And oftentimes, the stepkids are murdered also. And I'm so glad in this case that this 16-year-old girl and daughter of the mom of the boys was not murdered. And this is why. I wish none of them had been murdered, but this is why. Because, like the mom said, he took her life. And I know what she means. Her life is all of them, her daughter and her sons. When you have a bunch of kids, one child is not your life. It's like they're all one big puzzle. And each child is a piece of that puzzle. So it's her life. So he did take her life or part of her life, but she still has her daughter. And I pray and hope that her and her 16-year-old daughter in time could do as much healing as they can, even though they've taken a great loss. But oftentimes, the stepchild This is not her biological dad. So the stepchild is also being victimized when the mom remarries this nut. So I'm so glad that the Lord saw it fit that the 16-year-old daughter did not get killed, because she is the true innocent one. And when I say completely innocent, the boys are innocent too, because they're boys. But when I say the 16-year-old is innocent, this ain't her freaking daddy. Her mother married this nut that ended up murdering his own 3 sons. And I'm so grateful that her daughter, which would have been the stepdaughter, did not fully go down and get murdered because her mother decided to marry a nut and have 3 more kids. Finally, there's a case where the stepdaughter ain't being killed too, because it's so unfair. We can so easily just focus on the 3 boys that got murdered, but we can very well lose sight of the good that came out of it, because that nut is not that 16-year-old girl's father. That is a decision that her mother made to marry that nut. And it looks like in this situation, the Lord allowed the penalty to just go towards the boys, the mom, and the dad. Everyone that suffered is connected to that nut, which is those biological boys. The mom, the biological mom, got shot in the hand, but she lived. And the dad that unalived his 3 own cute little boys, he's in jail right now. So who didn't get harmed or shot, it seems, that didn't get physically harmed was the 16-year-old stepdaughter. So let's be grateful for that. Let's learn to be more grateful for the one that really didn't have a choice in this matter. This 16-year-old, that crazy man that her mom married, is not her biological dad. So let's be very grateful that she was not killed. Because all the time, it just doesn't play out that way. It's too often times that everybody get killed. And guess what? That mom, as far as I know, she don't have any other children. She just lost a lot of children because of what her husband did to their sons. But I had to find some good in it. I had to, through me tearing up and watching the videos and realizing when they blacked out that area that all the boys were dead in the front yard, I had to find some sort of good in this situation because it's such a painful situation, and that's the good that I found. I'm glad that that 16-year-old that did not make no choice in this matter. Just think about it. If you was in this situation and you was a girl and you was 16 years old and your mom married a nut and had 3 more children, which were your little brothers, and that man unalived and murdered your 3 younger brothers. Just think about it. Wouldn't you be glad that you wasn't killed in all of this? Because this man ain't her daddy. So that's the part about the situation that I felt good about. That finally, the wrong person wasn't victimized. And I don't know, maybe that's how the killer thought. You never know. I mean, because he didn't kill the stepdaughter. I don't know if it's because she got away in time or what it was, but maybe he felt like he didn't have a right to do that. I'm just here to kill who I brought in this world. And that's a bad way of thinking, but if that's the way he thought, at least the stepdaughter got away. And I hope that the mom and her daughter can just bond and love one another and just somehow find a way to heal. Because as far as the household goes, it's probably just going to be them two. I mean, they may have to move because they're going to have a lot of memories of the boys and stuff. And that got to be hurtful. But at the same time, who knows what else was going to happen? Maybe he was considering killing the wife and the stepdaughter too. Maybe he just did the murder when he had on his mind just to kill his own boys and his wife boys. But maybe if time would have went on, he would have decided and premeditated, because he admitted that he planned this. Maybe if enough time had went on and it went further down the road, maybe he would have premeditated to kill the wife and the daughter. Then everybody died. Who knows would have been, or what would have been in this crazy man's head or this insane man's head. But he don't feel nothing about what he did to his sons. I mean, he planned it. He hated that woman. He hated those boys. He was very ungrateful for the life that he had been given. He was unable to bond with those children and his wife. He hated being a family man. You know, you hear so much rhetoric about something wrong with you if you single, something wrong with you if you ain't got no kids. You know, a man needs to marry. A man needs to have some kids. He needs to leave a legacy. No, some men need to never marry and have kids, and they need to be a lone wolf. Same way with some women. You got women, single mothers, single dads, married mothers. They all just killing kids now. They own kids. You would think that would be the last kid that somebody would kill, but that's what they're doing. So he was just a man that just didn't need a family. And he just should have been somewhere by himself, not worried about nothing at the end of the day. But like I said, some of the biggest red flags would have been that he assaulted his own daddy. So if he'll assault his own daddy, beat up, choke his daddy out, whatever he did to his own daddy, he'll kill his kids too. If he'll be brutally mean and just horrible to where the neighbors could say he was just mean and evil, if he can do that and the neighbors know about it, he's capable of killing kids. It just is what it is. I mean, it was just a bad situation. He was a psychopath. He just don't care about the wife. And at the end of the day, I pray that this woman survives it. And in time, she understands the part that she played in this horrific situation. This is the result of getting with these psychopathic, insane people. And at the end of the day, anybody that's being mean and cruel to you every day, just mean and cruel, to where the neighbors can say they're just mean and evil to you and they're abusive to you, they will kill you. It's just a matter of time. That's it. Ladies, If you're in these situations, like this mom was, men, if you're in these situations, try to find a domestic violence shelter. Pack your suitcase and duffel bag. If you gotta put your stuff in a trash bag, get the hell out of that situation urgently. Leave all your stuff and just go. You don't have time to be trying to figure out or planning to leave. You gotta go ASAP without the abuser knowing your location. Because at the end of the day, mothers and fathers are murdering their children. So fathers, you gotta go too. Get out of the situation. Don't stay around long enough to where the abuser is killing your whole family right in front of you. You don't deserve that, and it's just a horrible situation to be in. And I feel so bad for the mom and the stepdaughter, and I hope they can find them a good praying community to get in, because that's the only way they're going to survive something like this. Because like she said, he took her life. But there's another part of your life, and that's your relationship with the Lord. Because believe you me, something worse was going to happen. So at least the Lord spared two of them. Who knows? This lady and this daughter, they may end up doing remarkable work. Maybe they'll start a domestic violence shelter. Who knows? But I just pray that the energy that's within that mom, I heard her voice when she said he took her life. Just for her to say that, there's life still within her that she'll be able to use at her own time that will help her heal. There's a lot of life in the voice of that lady, and I hope that she can use this tragedy of losing her 3 sons. I hope that her and her daughter can get involved in some sort of ministry or domestic violence work so they can help save lives. Because now she knows the red flags. Maybe she'll write a book and tell the whole story. There's so much more that we don't know about this situation. And I don't believe somebody like him is entering in no heaven. I just don't. I mean, first of all, the Ohio dad, he lacks the ability to really feel genuinely bad for what he did. So I don't see a heaven for him. But hopefully the mom and sister will one day see those little boys, and hopefully they all enter heaven together and be able to still be together in their afterlife. And I feel very, very bad about what happened. May the boys rest in peace. Please like, share, and subscribe. I love y'all so, so much. Please leave a comment if you like. Please share the video. I've been on this bike almost 39 minutes, y'all. Thank you. Bye.